How can the color of my skin determine whether or not I can commit a sin? Or that I am a sin? Just by existing. Ayush is here. How can the color of our skin determine whether or not we can commit a sin? Or that we are a sin? Just by existing. How is this still prevalent? The prejudice of our skin still be relevant? This is just crazy. It's crazy. It still exists. Racism still exists. It should have never existed in the first place. But it only exists because we have accepted it. We have accepted it. We just have. You know, we're all guilty. I'm guilty. I've just been accepting it throughout my whole life. I could have done something. We all could have done something. Years ago, years back, when we were first aware. But we decided to just ignore and accept it. And it's mostly because we've just been desensitized to it. Desensitized so extremely to a point where we see what's happening and we just move on. But this is not normal. There's no way that this is normal. And you see, the desensitization has occurred everywhere. Through the media, the movies, the shows, the songs, in education, in health, in the justice system. It's everywhere. It's like we're programmed to be desensitized to it. But no. It's time to wake up. Everyone. It's time to check yourself. You, your friends, your family. The biases, the prejudice. This is the time. Because the world has had enough. The fact that we have to have a movement, that we have to say that Black Lives Matter. The fact that we have to say that they matter, is mind-boggling. Of course they matter. Every life matters. But now, it's just about Black lives. Because they've just been oppressed. We've just been accepting the whole time. And we can't go any further. You know, the fact that we just have to say that is just crazy. But we do have to say it. Otherwise, who's gonna say it? Who's gonna stand up? Who's gonna speak? You know, now we have all these huge protests all over the world. It started in America. It started in one city. But now it's everywhere. In all cities across America. And now it's spread throughout the world. It's a huge movement. It's the biggest civil rights movement ever. It's crazy to think how the world has just been united through this one act. It's not just one act, but it's been occurring for centuries. The police brutality, the systemic racism, the oppression. And you see, it shouldn't even have existed. And you see, race, the term race is fabricated. It's made up. It only exists in the physical realm. Because there's only one race. The human race. But we've been conditioned, we've had all these ideas that we're separate, that we're this race, we're this race. But we have to address it. We're not blind to it. It all stems from the idea that one race, one group of people is more superior than another. And the thing is, racism is not innocent. It's not a coincidence. It's systemic. It's purposeful. There's a reason to it. It's to keep a certain race higher than another, more superior than another, having more power than another in all areas of life. It's called systemic racism. And it's organized, it's structured in a way that we still have it. It's been over 400 years in America, ever since we colonized in the 1600s. And it started there. It's to keep the whites, the privileged, on top, and people of color down below. The unequal treatment, the prejudice, it's been here forever. And the fact that we have realized, that we know, that we see how it's structured, now the media has shown more than ever. Especially if you go on Twitter now, it's all over the place. There's no excuse to be blind to it. There's no excuse to be unaware of it. I do feel like, instead of criticizing people and putting them down, we have to educate them. We have to have an open mind and an open heart. And educate people. Teach people. Because I do feel like people, since it is taught, racism is taught. You're not born with it. And so we do have, in these times, we do have to have some empathy. So since it is taught, since it is learned, it can also be unlearned. And that's the thing. Keep raising awareness. We gotta keep marching. We gotta keep having these protests everywhere, throughout the world. We've got to keep going, we've got to keep going. And we're seeing the changes that it's having. You see, it wasn't just George Floyd. It wasn't just that horrific video of that one cop putting his knee on his neck for 9 minutes. Him yelling, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe." That was the huge catalyst. That was just the exploding point, the eruption. That was the breaking point. You see, everyone saw that. The whole world saw that. There was no justifiable explanation for that. No matter what political party you are, no matter who you are, no matter what your ideals are, when you saw that video, you knew that it was just insane. That it was just outright wrong. You see, racism it isn't about politics or your beliefs or religion. It's none of that. It has no correlation with that. It's just about fundamental human rights. It's instinct. It's about being human. This is about being human. This whole movement is about standing up for humanity. And yes, racism, police brutality was the catalyst. George Floyd represents millions, billions of oppressed people, especially black people, that have been oppressed for centuries, not just in this generation, not just in this timeline. But you see, I feel like this whole movement is a culmination of everything. Of being oppressed in general by the system. The people have just been fed up. It's enough. And so now we're being vocal. We're realizing that we have the power. And we're waking up. So y'all, we just gotta realize that racism is taught. And that it can be unlearned. We don't gotta keep moving on with racism. Though it may always still be there, somewhere. Though it may not be exterminated, obliterated, annihilated completely. We can move forward, and we are. So y'all, it's time. Time to be open. Time to educate. Time to be aware. Because there's no excuse to not be aware. We must have those conversations. And they should not be uncomfortable. A lot of people say these are uncomfortable situations. But how can they be uncomfortable when it's just about humanity? When it's just about simple, civil human rights? There's nothing uncomfortable about that. So y'all, it's time to take a stand. And I'm so happy. Seeing the world come together. Seeing everyone uniting for this one common cause is beautiful. It's amazing. Seeing everyone of all backgrounds, all races, all groups, all beliefs, just uniting. Man, 2020 has been a crazy year. We're only at the halfway point. We're only at the intermission. We're not even at the climax yet. But y'all, I definitely feel like this is just the beginning. So y'all, with that, we can't let this slide. We gotta keep moving forward. There's no excuse to not be aware. There's no excuse to not do anything. We have just been accepting for too long. Too long. We have been desensitized for too long. For too long. No more. The world has spoken. The world has taken action. So now, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So y'all, with that, love, VC's daddy, your own Ayush. And as always, remember, just live! Stay tuned for weekly videos every couple of times a week or once a week. and connect with me on social media. I'll put the links down below at the Ayush Way and Bush Gaines. And message me, comment, let me know what you think. You can agree, disagree, or not even give agree. It's up to you. So with that, just live and remember to coexist.